I was born in North Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada in February 17, 1951. And I have two half-brothers, two half-sisters. So it's a bit of an interesting family. When I was young, we moved around a lot. My father had many jobs, so we moved around quite a bit. I went to a number of schools in Langley and Surrey, British Columbia, and that was how my school life. Now, when I was 14, my father left our family, and we ended up on welfare. So the problems that created in my life is I had no financial support for my schooling beyond high school. But I was able to go to university basically on money that I had saved up from working for McDonald's restaurants. And I was able to do first year university in the sciences program. By the end of that program, though, my grades were not all that good and I didn't have any more money, so I ended up dropping out of university. Well, I was attracted to HVAC. Well, I was actually attracted to engineering first, and that happened when I was in grade 9. The grade 9, at that time, the class arranged a trip to the local university for us to sort of look at various careers, and we toured the campus, and one of the stops was the heating plant at the university. And so I asked the tour guide, I said, so who would be responsible for this heating plant? And it was hissing steam and all these large equipment. And he said a mechanical engineer. So out of this tour, we were supposed to write a little write-up on what career we thought we would like to pursue. And I wrote it up on mechanical engineering. So I was on a vacation across Canada, and one of my stops was to visit some relatives in Edmonton, Alberta. So I go to Edmonton, Alberta, and I'm there, and I open up the Saturday paper, and there's 42 pages of job opportunities in the Saturday paper. So I look at it, and I say, well, and I circled the ones that I had the background that I could apply for that job, and there were 7. I applied for 2 jobs and got 2 offers. And so the opportunity, I don't know whether I found that opportunity or it found me, but then that was what took me from my production-oriented path to an HVAC&R path, because I took the job as a mechanical systems designer. And the 2 options were mechanical systems designer for the university or for a consulting firm. And I took the university one. Well, where did I stay? I stayed with universities my entire career. So I worked at 3 different universities in my lifetime and rose to the top position in the facility side of the university. My first major job was in HVAC and systems design, so I had no training. And so when I got the job, I went to the senior mechanical designers and said, I've got this project, can you help me with it? And they said, oh yeah, we're very, very helpful. They said, those 4 handbooks of ASHRAE over there in the bookcase will be everything you need to know. Good luck. So that's how I got sort of interacted with ASHRAE. I worked for a while in that area, and then decided to go back to university, get my engineering degree. And in 3rd year of the engineering degree, they had an HVAC&R course. And to get the handbook for that, to get the text for that course, you got a discount if you're an ASHRAE student member, so I signed up as a student member, and I stayed as a student member until I graduated. I graduated from the mechanical engineering program. I was a student member of ASHRAE, and the Northern Alberta chapter, which was the chapter in our area, came to me and said, like the year I graduated, said, would you be interested in being on a committee on the chapter level? And I said, oh, what's this involved? And they said, well, it's, you'll just be on the committee, you'll have a chance to learn about the chapter and the society, and we have a chair that's been there for a number of years, so you can learn a lot from this individual. So I said, sure, I'll do that. And about 3 months later, the president of the chapter called me up and said, would you consider chairing the committee? And I said, well, yeah, but I'm just new to the committee. I said, maybe another member of the committee that has more experience should chair it. And he says, well, you're the only member of the committee. And so I said, oh, and he said, oh, by the way, we'll help you, we'll give you great support and everything, but would you consider chairing it? And I said, yeah, I'll give it a try. And so that's how I got started at the chapter level, which is really your beginning point in the society. So what happened after that is that I got engaged. The committee that I joined was called the Education Activities Committee. So they were responsible for oversight on the chapter programs, the content of the chapter programs, and seminars. And we had a very good year, a year and a half that I was the chair, and such a good year that it got recognized at the regional level. And I was nominated for a regional award for that particular capacity at the region. And I won the award. And then at that same CRC, Chapters Regional Conference, I was nominated to be the regional representative for that area of the society. And I got elected for that. So within a very short period of time, I'd moved to a chapter committee to a regional level position just because I said yes. But after the Education Activities Committee, I actually went back to the chapter level and served as the president of the London, Ontario, Canada chapter, which because I'd moved from region 11 to Region 2. And it was interesting, I said I became the regional representative for Region 11 at the CRC. I only served 1 year there. And then I had a job opportunity that took me to Region 2, and then I immediately was nominated for that same position in Region 2, so I went from Region 11 as the Vice Chair of Education Activities to Region 2 Vice Chair of Education Activities, which I then served for 3 years. So I've had kind of an interesting journey in society. So there's kind of about 3 things that I think stand out to me. One is that during my term we finished the design of our new headquarters building and went into construction. It was really a pleasure to be involved in that initiative to the point of actually being able to swing a sledgehammer to break a chunk of the wall away in the new headquarters building before it got renovated. So that was exciting. The other thing that around the headquarters building is that we were very successful in a capital campaign. We raised over $9 million with a $5 million contribution, a single $5 million contribution, which is the largest contribution society has ever had as a single contribution. The next thing that really, and this is quite amazing actually, is that when COVID hit, we created a task force for epidemic task force. And we mobilized over 100 people, 100 volunteers of our society that actually started working on recommendations and strategies for safely operating buildings during the COVID pandemic. And this information that these volunteers created was utilized around the world. It was used by governments and building owners and operators to really properly operate buildings in a safe and efficient manner. So we knew we wanted to raise a fair sum of money for our new building, right, our capital campaign. And we decided to put on a dinner in the presidential suite the year before we initiated the construction. And we had a list of potential donors, and we invited to this dinner. And one of the potential donors, said they couldn't make it, so it opened up 2 seats at the table. And somebody came up to me and said, "You really need to add this company here. They have quite a bit of money, and they're interested in the types of things you're going to be doing with the headquarters building, and if you invite them, they might actually donate." And so we did invite them, and interestingly enough, I sat at the table with this company that I had no idea who they were. And we chatted a little bit, and they said, "Yeah, we'd be interested in contributing if you could tell us some more about it and everything." I said, "Okay, we'll come and visit you." The company is based in Sweden. And so we went there and we visited with them, and they showed us around and toured us their factory and a lot of things in their area. And then finally they said, "Okay, you're here to raise some money, so well, how much money do you want?" And so now I'm kind of like, okay, $5 million. And they didn't really flinch, right? And they said, "Oh, could we have 10 minutes to talk about this?" And I said, "Yeah, I mean, you could take longer than 10 minutes if you wish, but sure, absolutely." They went away 10 minutes and they came back and said, "Yeah, we're in. If we can donate it over 10 years, you've got the $5 million. Is there anything that I would have done differently in my president's year? actually, and I've thought about this quite a bit because I've had some time to think about it, and I can't find anything that I would do differently. I think that the fact that we agreed to have some different people show up at a dinner, and it led to a $5 million contribution, things sort of fell into place. And I think really what happened is we made good decisions when we had to, and I don't think I would do anything differently. Yeah, the events that have changed ASHRAE and the industry, I mean, the pandemic is one for sure, because and it's interesting, so we've always been about having face-to-face meetings, and when the pandemic hit in the March, shut down the world in March of 2020, it was kind of like, we have an annual meeting coming up, what do we do? And we made an early decision that we were going to go with an online version of the meeting, and began the planning of that in March, which allowed us to actually do a very good meeting online for the first time ever. So it's the pandemic changed us to being able to do that when we need to do that, and actually to have better online meetings for our committees and councils and the board. The other thing that's happened recently is the real understanding of the global climate change. And I think that's really, I mean, if you look at what ASHRAE is doing now, if ASHRAE started in the mid-70s to get really recognized for their role in reducing energy consumption and the codes and standards around that, and have been for decades. And along with that, we've become global, much more global. And it's interesting because when we pivoted from total reliance on face-to-face meetings mostly, we actually opened up the globalization much more in terms of being able to meet with our members in a web-based manner. What advice for a person entering the field? This is interesting. Taking from my own experience, I'd say first of all, get involved at the chapter level. I mean, that's a good starting point for the society activities, and don't be afraid to volunteer. And also, I would have to say, don't be afraid to take on a challenge that you say, I'm not really sure I can do this. Well, try. Give it a try. It's like when they asked me to chair that committee at the chapter level. I said, well, I'll try. And they said, we'll help. And it's interesting because they will help. And that's the place to start. You'll gain skills that allow you to manage and work with people and get things done. So I say yes to things, and what happens then is that often you'll get involved in something that gives you the opportunity. But it really is about, what I've found in my life is that it's really important to be able to make decisions. And even if you make a wrong decision or a bad decision, it's better to make a decision than to not make a decision. And I think that's really where the opportunity comes from. It's like whether you say yes to being the chair of a committee at the chapter level, or you say yes to being treasurer of the society that leads to being president. It's about making a decision that keeps you moving. So you could say I have a hobby called golfing. I golf a couple times a week, but I suck at it. But the good news about that is that I get to walk the course, and it gives me some exercise, and so that's all good. I actually built a dollhouse for my granddaughter, so I built this thing. And by the way, it was supposed to be for my daughter. I started it when she was young, but by the time I finished it, it was my granddaughter's. I have I just recently got a classic car, a 1965 Beaumont or Malibu convertible. Which is a work in progress. So that's kind of a hobby as well. And you can say volunteering is a hobby, I think. So it's not just ASHRAE. I've actually been elected to the board of our local hospital, so I continue to volunteer in some other areas as well. So that keeps my life fairly full. The basics of being involved with ASHRAE is about what you learn about the technology, the industry, and the opportunities that the technology can bring to serve humanity, right? And I'm really big on making sure that what we do is for the built environment, and that's really primarily for the people that utilize the built environment. And I could say that through my career and through my presidency, to be able to serve in that regard, that you improve that environment and you reduce energy consumption, has been very important to me. And the new technology you learn about while you're a society member is very valuable. You're able to talk to the people that are on the leading edge of technology development. You begin to learn about the applications and the potential. So yes, I think I've benefited quite a bit, and that's why I hope I gave back to the society enough.